to the Baxter County Roundtable. I believe this is episode 45. My name is Joe Bryant. I am the host,
The host.
and tonight we have Chris Chamberlain, who is
I am the co-host.
he's the co-host, and he's also going to be a guest after our other special guest, Jason Nazarenko, has his fun with us. Or could it be the other way? Who knows?
Could be.
But anyway, prior to that, we have a few sponsors that I'd like to thank again. Number one being the Baxter County Republican Committee, who really gave us the seed money to start this thing. So we want to say thanks to them. And then we have Mountain Home Heat and Air, another sponsor who has been voted the best in the Twin Lakes 2 years in a row, 24 and 25. They are the largest Goodman dealer in the Twin Lakes area. Mountain Home Heat and Air, together with Goodman, two names you can trust. Goodman systems are made in America by Americans, and I advocate for that for sure. They also specialize in Dakin mini split systems, from new installations to duct cleaning and everything in between. Mountain Home Heat and Air are the people to call for your HVAC needs. They offer high quality systems and workmanship, affordable prices, and financing is available. So give Kirk Lawrence and the folks at Mountain Home Heat and Air a call at 870-425-HVAC. That's 870-425-4822. And we have another fairly recent sponsor, and that's James Boyette, State Farm Insurance. And since becoming a State Farm agent over 11 years ago, I have focused on delivering real value to our customers. Value is about having the right coverage for each customer, not about chasing the lowest price. It's making sure everyone who comes through our doors walks out knowing they're properly covered. Helping people find the confidence is what I love to do. This is quotes from James Boyette. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but his products offered are auto, homeowners, condo, renters, personal articles, business, life, health, pet, and other products, banking, annuities. And his address is 1330 Highway 62 East, Mountain Home, Arkansas. And that's 870-425-4540. And we want to say thanks to James and all sponsors and all guests and viewers. So now I don't even know who to introduce first, so I guess I'll introduce my co-host.
I was going to say introduce the VIP first.
Well,
but,
okay, we can do that. Our special guest is Jason Nazarenko, and Jason is the Arkansas District 4 state rep, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
And is there any you? And I want you to tell us who you are, how you got here, where you came from, where you're heading, that sort of thing.
You bet. Well, thank you so much, Joe and Chris, and thank you to all your sponsors. I really appreciate that. I think this is really important that the committee has stepped up to make this happen, keeping the voters informed. And you guys have had some great VIPs, as Chris mentioned. I think it's great that you put me in that. I never really thought of myself as a VIP. So you've had some great folks on here giving some great information, which is wonderful. These voters need that, and I do appreciate that, and appreciate you having me here. And we've been on here before, but to those viewers that may not know who I am, as Joe mentioned, I'm the current state representative for the House in District 4, which is all of Marion County, and then we call kind of Southern Baxter County, leading up to Mountain Home city limits, but doesn't include that city limit. So I connect with Stetson Painter, the representative for District 3 up there. So.
Now you get a little bit of Western Baxter County as well. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. It does. Kind of loops over there in North Fork area is where we touch up with Representative Walker. He's over there in Calico Rock, so we kind of butt up there next to each other.
Okay. So, tell me, how'd you get here? Where are you from? What's your? I mean, I did a little research on you today, and I want to hear what you have to say if you're gonna.
Okay. All right. So
if you're going to be humble or tell us, give it all to us.
So as far as background for me, Joe, I was raised in a military family, blessed to be mom and dad. My father was in the Navy, and so we bounced around quite a bit. He ended up retiring in about 1991, and that's how we ended up in the Twin Lakes area. They were looking for a nice place to move to, and they ended up in Cotter. We vacationed there once. He found the house, and then the second summer we came down, they ended up buying it. So right when he retired, we moved there. I finished out high school, and then graduated from Cotter back in '94 myself. Got married pretty quick. My wife and I, Cammie, got married, started our family, and then I joined the service. Went off, and that was in 1996 is when I joined, and started out as a cook. A lot of people don't even know that, but started out as a cook. Did that for about 8 years. I would say the claim to fame there, I was the cook of the year for the 101st Division in 2001. Another a little known fact that
No
sometimes
matter
gets
what you do, you want to be the best at it. That's for sure.
well, that sometimes will get you put behind a barbecue grill as well when they find you got cooking experience. But anyway, I ended up transitioning from cooking into aviation. I had set a goal for myself to become a helicopter pilot. Took some tests and scored high enough, and then went through the training, and then got accepted into the aviation flight program for helicopters. So I did that in the Army, and then after about a year or two in a deployment to Afghanistan, came home, assessed for the Special Operations Community, the 160th Night Stalkers. You may be familiar with them. They've been kind of busy in the news as of lately, so it seems like they've been doing some great things. So did that for about the last almost 10 years of my career, and then I retired. When I retired, moved back home to Cotter. Decided my wife and I wanted to move back home closer to family and that community that loved us and supported us the whole time we were gone. And we wanted to pour ourselves into the community. I came back to a community that needed help, and I just wanted to jump in and do it where I could. So my wife and I, we ended up renovating an old building in the downtown, and then I got very involved with the community, volunteer as the Chamber of Commerce president, and started to help revitalize Cotter, which we've done some amazing things, invigorating other people to do the same. And we've had a great team effort to clean up the place and make some awesome strides. So that was about 6 years ago when I retired. About 2 years ago, I guess it was never really had a dream of politics, but I was flying for Air Evac Life Team. I'd been doing that since I retired, and had a good friend reach out to me and talk it through, and just he kind of let me know he was going to be retiring and wanted me to consider running for this position. I prayed about it. I said, let me pray about this. Let me talk to Cammie, because this wasn't the path I saw us going on. But I really felt like this was just a way that I could continue that service to my community and just broaden the scope of that service. Instead of it just being Cotter, it became District 4 and beyond. And so that kind of where we are. This is ending of the first year, or first term, I should say. So we went through the legislative session, 95th, and then we just finished up our fiscal session the last week. We ended that, and then we just showed up today for our special session. You may be familiar with what we're down here for. But we just gavelled in a little while ago, and then I'm still dressed because we just finished up our committee meeting about 20 minutes ago or so.
Well, apparently you're not going to tell us everything. I learned something about you today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you were an Eagle Scout.
I was.
That
Yes,
to
sir.
me that is very impressive. I mean, for a young fellow, not too many people accomplish that goal. So that tells me a lot about your character, basically.
Well, thank you, Joe. I give a lot of credit there to my parents as well. They knew the importance of continuing on. I was nearly 18. I almost didn't make it because I was in there for a long time. But as you got older, as you know, you start having job, girlfriend, and my parents just said, you need to finish this. You're close enough. You need to finish it. They pushed me, and I fought a little bit, but I finished and finished strong. And I'm glad I did, because it is definitely something to say. When you start something, you need to finish it.
Yeah, I think there are way more stories of people that got this close and just they didn't finish it. And
Life
I
gets in the
commend
way.
you for that, as well as your service to our country. I really thank you for that. And,
Thank you, Joe. It
so
was an honor.
anyway, let's get down to the nuts and bolts of being a state rep. First of all, what are the responsibilities of a state rep? I think get the basic.
That's a
duties.
great question. Great question, because that's really where you need to start. Number one, like, what are you doing and what you are. So every every state, like so in the state of Arkansas, you've got the state divided by about 30,000 people groups. So they've kind of divided folks out, and then that every 30,000 people group is a district. And so I'm over the District 4, which is that 30,000 group that we explained earlier. And so you're their voice in the Capitol. So when it comes to bills hitting the table or different things that are going on, you're their voice. And so you're the majority voice that got you there. And that's how you need to be voting when it comes to votes. And then when we're trying to get, different funds our way or grants or anything like that, that's what we need to be doing is having strong advocates. That's your main job there as that representative, I would say.
Okay, so as I understand it, there are two types of sessions. One is legislative, and one is fiscal. And tell us how that's separated by
That's right.
year, et cetera.
Yes, sir. And every state does it a little bit different. Well, not every little bit different, but Arkansas, what we do is every other year on an even year is your legislative session. A legislative session, you make the laws. That's when the laws are presented or bills are presented, and then they can go through the system, and then they'll end up becoming into a law if they make it through.
That's
On
on
the
odd
opposite,
years. That's on odd years,
yep.
right?
What
Right.
are we at right now?
We're
95.
in even.
That's
We're in
yes.
fiscal now,
That's right.
I believe.
Yes, we're in
26.
fiscal and we're in 90. You're right. So on the odd, I said that backwards. Odd is your legislative, even is your fiscal. So we finished up Cinco on the 5th of May is when we finished up last year on the legislative session. And then we came back into session this year for the fiscal session. Now, the fiscal session is all about budget. It's all about appropriations, and that's the main thing. Now, bills can be brought to the body. They can be brought to the House and Senate. You've got to have a 2/3 vote in order for it to be heard at all. So it takes quite a bit of muscle movement. And there were bills that were brought up, and some bills made it through, but most did not because of that threshold that it needed. One of the things about Arkansas operates on a balanced budget. We don't spend money or plan to spend money that we don't have. So when we're here for the legislative session, it's an already planned out budget that is not spending money that we don't have in our hand right now.
So, okay, we're in the fiscal session. Is this preparing for the next legislative session, or how does what is the process for getting the fiscal session stuff to you?
Right. Well, so
Who gets it first? You, Senate, governor? Who creates the budget?
so the budget, the governor, obviously she has say in what she's desiring, because she's got different things that she sees as because of her plan, and so those were obviously always considered. Now these appropriations, or the budgets if you will, that comes put together, those agencies will have requests on this is what we need, this is what we need to operate, or this is what we need to meet our goals, or whatever our plan is. And sometimes that's agreed upon, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's negotiated, and you saw that in this legislative session. So what this is too, to kind of put it in perspective, we saw how at the federal level the government shut down quite a while back. Well, actually, it wasn't that long ago, but when they shut down, Arkansas could do the same thing. When we were in that fiscal session, say we had not funded certain appropriations, those organizations would have had to shut down. And I think it would have been July 1, if I'm not mistaken. Chris might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but had their appropriation not been approved at certain places, they would have had to shut down. That organization, that Arkansas State organization, would have had to shut down until an appropriation would have been approved. That didn't happen. We were able to come to an agreement with all of the appropriations that came to us. And so all appropriations were approved. Some of them changed throughout the session because of some issues that had popped up, but they were all approved. And so when we did sine die last Wednesday, all appropriations had been approved, and nothing had to shut down.
So does the budgeting process start sort of with the governor and the Senate, and then
Well, and
you
it
guys get it?
also it also starts, 2 years before, because you're already looking
Okay.
at, the money that you're going to spend in 2 years from then, because you've got to have that plan together.
Okay.
Obviously, there's last minute changes. There's, different things. The incomes may change or expenses may change, and so then those organizations may have to change things ahead of time. And that's where if you change too much about it, now your budget is going to be exploded and you're going to spend too much. If people try to just jam in too many things on the end, you're spending money that you hadn't planned to spend. Just like
Okay.
a household, you got the same problem in the States, just more zeros on the end.
Okay. Can you refresh us on the special session? How does that come about? Why?
Mhm.
Um,
Excellent question. So the special session, and many of you may have seen, it was a plan. This wasn't a surprise. It was talked about quite a long time ago. Uh, the governor's intent, and the intent on it was to keep it pure, so it wasn't going to involve any other bills or plans or anything. The plan was for it to just do one thing, and that was going to be to lower the tax rate, which that bill was filed the other day. It had quite a few co-sponsors. Nearly all Republican House members were co-sponsors for the House bill. There is a sister bill on the Senate side, and I know they had the same kind of plan over there. Those bills were filed and they went into committee today as well. So that's the committee I just came out of, was hearing that bill first. And I should back up. When we gavelled in, one of the first things we also did was the rules were suspended, because if you follow the rules, anytime a bill is filed, you have to wait a certain amount of time. It has to sit on the desk before it can actually go into committee. We suspended the rules so that that could go into committee today. There is a rule in place for, committee meetings have to be announced at a minimum of, I believe, 3 hours prior, and so that meeting was announced this morning with the intention of that rule being suspended, and so that went into effect. So,
What
and
what
which
kind of what kind of vote threshold do you have to suspend the rules?
Good question. So I know there was a motion. It's all a voice vote, and that was the speaker's call on that. The majority out there was definitely, and you can pull the video up and watch that. To be completely honest, I'm not a fan of suspending the rules, except in this instance, uh, I was, and I'll explain why. So a legislative session, they actually had a motion to suspend the rules, and I was a no on that. Because number one, we're moving really fast anyway. I was a freshman, and so it's already moving fast enough for me. When I knew that was coming, I had heard about it. I'd heard what it was like when the rules were suspended, and I didn't want any part of that. So I was a very loud no, and that did not pass in the legislative session. In this instance, when we're here right now, we know we're called into special session for one purpose, and that's to lower that tax rate. We know that no other bills are supposed to be brought in, and we're going to have a massive threshold if somebody ever tried to bring something in, and it wouldn't. I would, um, I would be willing to say that it wouldn't make it if anybody tried to put something else in other than this one thing that we're brought in. It has to fall in. So that special session, if we hadn't suspended the rules, we would have had to stay here one more day. What that one more day is, I'm not afraid of staying, in Little Rock, but by all of us staying here, that's another $50,000 at a minimum. That's going to cost the taxpayers, and it's for, in my opinion, for this instance, no reason. This to me is a good reason to suspend the rules. By suspending the rules, we are able to go right into committee, listen to the bill, vote on it, get it on the House floor, get a vote there. We get our sister bill from the Senate, and then we were able to hear that in committee, and it gets voted on. And so then the process still continues. You end up at the finish line that we're going to make it to the finish line, and we're actually going to save the taxpayers $50,000 or more because we're able to suspend the rules. So again, that's why
okay.
I'm for it in this instance.
Okay. Saving tax money is a good thing. More to come on that.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
what committees are you a member of?
So I'm on education committee and aging youth, and it used to be aging youth and veterans. Veterans got pulled off and on its own committee. I was put on the veteran committee as a alternate, which kind of sounds like, oh man, with as much military service as you had, why were you an alternate and not on the committee? really when you take a step back and look, I was a freshman, brand new. It was actually an honor to be even put on this newly formed committee as an alternate, and so I looked at it as such. And I've expressed my interest in staying on that committee as well. I would like to stay connected with the veterans for sure and help be that voice, especially with the experience that I have being a dependent, a military, active duty military, now a retiree and a veteran, and then also my son served. So I've kind of seen it from a lot of different angles.
Okay, from what you've just told us, I'm going to assume you are running again.
Yes, sir.
And what do you have an opponent? Do you have what's shaking
I,
there?
I do not right now. There's always still time. I think towards the end, you can actually, an independent, if I'm not mistaken, can file towards the end, but I could be completely wrong. But I think in the general, there's a few folks that can come in. So at this point right now, I don't have an opponent unopposed, and I was unopposed in the primary as well.
That's probably comforting for you.
It was really, it actually made me feel very good, Joe, because I felt like, the community that put me here, they at least feel like I'm doing a good enough job of speaking up for them and then being involved in the community. And it was good to be able to focus on what I needed to focus on being out there in the community rather than trying to be out there campaigning as much. So it was refreshing.
Yeah. Another thing I've been wondering about, if you it's we don't get a lot of local state news, but we get a lot of national news, and it's the Democrats against the Republicans, and they never mesh.
Yeah.
The Democrats are always going to vote pretty much
Yep.
100% against the Republicans.
I do.
Are you having that experience in Little Rock?
You do on a lot of things, Joe. There's a lot of things that you definitely see a divide, and you're going to see that for the most part on certain things. There, like tonight, this committee meeting that we were at. I'm not on this committee, but I wanted to be there. I'm here in Little Rock, and I wanted to be at the Rev and Tax meeting when this tax lowering bill was put before it. And there was one Democrat who voted no on that voice vote, and he's a freshman. He's actually just in here because Carlton Wing is not in here, and so he took Carlton Wing's place. But he is a Democrat, and he voted no. He was the only Democrat on that committee. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to reduce taxes for people. So I don't understand that.
Tell us more about this tax reduction. How does it affect us?
So it's a great one, and this one, so it's HB 1001 is the House bill. There is a Senate bill that's out there, so you can pull that one up too. Sister bill, it's going to say the exact same thing, but it breaks it down for every category. Some people talk about the argument is, hey, this tax credit is just, or the tax lowering is going to be just for the uber rich and everything, and this is not. You can see those tax brackets for our Arkansan families, all of our families, from every lower bracket all the way up into a higher bracket that breaks it down. It shows what that savings is going to be all the way up to like a 3.7% savings. And then there's a corporate sales tax as well. I think 4.1 on the highest level on the corporate end, which is helping to make us competitive. And that's what we want to be. We want to be that state that people come to, start a business, bring their family, buy a house, build a house. That's what we want. We want that tax base to grow so that you can continue to lower that tax burden on hardworking Arkansans.
Okay, I want to give Chris an opportunity to jump in here.
Well, let's see. One of the things that I get a lot of questions about is that people don't understand how the process works. Right? We go down there, and every so often a politician will come up here and say, well, we'll ask them a complicated question or a not too complicated question. And they say, well, you just don't know how it works down there. Right? So what I really appreciate about you and Stetson is you're always very open and honest with what's going on down there. You'll tell it like it is. And I really, first of all, we really appreciate that from you guys. But how does it work down there? If you want to try to get a bill passed, do you have to make some handshake deals over here with some folks, or do a little dance over here? How does all that work?
So as far as like handshake deals, little, hey, you do this quid pro quo stuff, there may be some people that do that, kind of behind the scenes, but as you mentioned, I appreciate you, kind of noticing we are transparent. Stetson and I are both transparent. I'm sometimes I'm probably too transparent. Sometimes I could be probably given a hard time for just telling too much. But to me, I'm like, I got nothing to hide, and if we don't agree, I want to let's talk about it. What you do have to do when you're working a bill or trying to get a bill or something passed, you do have to talk with folks and make those connections, help them understand what it is, how this bill that you're bringing across, how this bill is going to help their constituents as well. And this could be, I could be talking to a Democrat who they've got hardworking Arkansans as well. And so I've got to show them this bill that I'm bringing is not just a Republican bill that is only helping Republicans. This bill is helping Arkansans. And so when they understand that and they see that, they see that this bill is a good bill, and it's not something that is that they won't stand behind. So most of the time, you're bringing across bills that you will be able to gain, some help from even across the aisle. At some bills, though, that you're not going to get it, and that's okay because we're different, and we know that we know we're different, and when you're on the right side of conservatism and you're not going to be just a left wing crazy, then hey, we're going to be different. You're just going to have to deal with it.
Well, shouldn't you be able to get most everything done that you want? Since we're a red state. Let's face it.
We very are. We are.
I'm not gonna claim that all Republicans are conservative, which is a problem with me.
Yeah.
But
and I think, obviously there's some things, even at a conservative level, like if you look at my voting record at the last legislative session, different groups will rank you in different ways. And I was, definitely conservative, but there's some groups that will say, well, you weren't really conservative. This person was a lot more. And, when you look at it, they are picking just a few specific bills, and that's what they're basing that on. And you can kind of follow that and see if you voted opposite of what they felt like this was the conservative vote on that, no matter where you were on it, what your agreement or disagreement was, you're not going to fall in line with, their ranking. So, and I think sometimes that can be a little skewed because I look at myself as I don't think that I can become like too much more conservative now, as a different things I've done in Cotter, and I mentioned I'm a volunteer as a chamber president. I do see economic growth as something that can help our community. And so that's usually where I stray away from those people that are putting, those groups that have got like percentages of how conservative you are in that ranking. That's usually where I kind of slide away from their really high ranks.
Well, that's kind of a controversial topic here in Baxter County with getting the Aldi. There's the Chamber of Commerce and Judge Liddy are very much in favor of enticing businesses to come here, of spending public money for private enterprise. You said you're for it, so can you make an argument of why we should be doing that? What does that benefit the ordinary person of Baxter County to give Aldi $20,000, right? I mean, they're a multinational corporation. They don't need our $20,000. So I would just like you to articulate why that's a good idea.
Sure. And it's, as you said, this is a contentious issue. There's a lot of people that have, a major issue with that. When I look at it from a economic standpoint, it's more than just that large corporation just dropping that footprint in there. Yes, they are a multi-million-dollar corporation. Yes, they can put it anywhere they want without any tax benefits. I completely, I agree with you. I know that they could.
The demand for an Aldi here has been strong for years. We all know that.
Right. So, and I mean, do we need it? Like, would Mountain Home, survive without it? Of course, you'd survive without it. And some of the other businesses would do just fine without it being there too. When we look at it from the standpoint, though, they're going to go somewhere. They will go somewhere. You know that they're wanting to extend. And this, when I say we're talking specifically about Aldi's, but this could be any corporation. Mm-hmm. They're going to go somewhere. We want them in Arkansas. We want that business, in our area where we can actually create jobs. And I know that'll get down an argument like, well, hey, they brought people with them. They brought their own business. Actually, I know some of their folks that they hired a long time ago to run the place, and they hired them from within our community. So I look at it like they created jobs, good paying jobs, and then they provided another place, another avenue for our local community to spend their money, which is then going to get tax dollars brought more tax dollars into the economy. And then when you think about it, if that business created maybe that area to be just a little bit better, now you're drawing in more folks that want to live there. As we get more folks, the tax base gets higher. As you get a higher tax base, you're able to lower taxes for everybody. So when you look at like the ancillary benefits, that's what I see. I'm not focused on the however much money is getting given to that corporation. And when I say that, also I'm saying that from the lens of I'm a small business owner, because that's the argument. The argument is, well, if we're doing it for the corporation, why not for the small business owner? Well, I'm a small business owner. I'm a small business owner and I'm a small business developer. And I risk a lot. I have a lot of risk that I'm personally putting into my community as I develop, with no help financially from the community. I get zero. You could argue, and I could say, hey, how about I maybe get something, but I'm not. I'm not getting anything. And in fact, I'm not. I'm actually going to replace city sidewalks, city-owned sidewalks, to the tune of probably $30,000 out of my own pocket. And so, but it's like, I'm doing that because I love the community and want to see that community, flourish. I want the kids to have an opportunity that they don't have right now. And I think when we start, say all these, right, you could end up bringing in people into our community that could have that same mindset. And when they come in, they say, I want to now start my own business here, because I love this community. This community is fostering growth, and I know that they're going to rally around me and support me. So that's, back to your question of why I would say it's good to give that. Now, is there an endless, bottomless pit of taxpayers' dollars that should go into these people's hands? I don't agree with that. I know that we are using somebody else's money. We are using taxpayers' money. Mountain Home is using taxpayers' money to do that. But the ROI on it, when you look at the business standpoint, the ROI, there is proven track records of what it does. If you look at Nucor, when Nucor went in, there's proven track records of what it did for that community out there. They're saying that SNAP benefits usage is down in that area. That's because they're putting people to work. They're putting community back into the workforce, and so they don't have to rely on more help from the government. So then that's kind of like another ancillary benefit. You've got money that's not being shelled out because it's not required to be used anymore.
Well, are you sort of arguing that the ROI might benefit you or someone like you with that sidewalk as opposed to, because I
Yeah.
think all these would have come anyway. I mean, that's my
You know,
gut feeling. And that 20,000 that they got that they really don't need would have benefited you more than all
well,
these.
in that respect, that 20,000 could never have come to me. That 20,000 was in Mountain Home. I'm over in Cotter, so it's two different pots
Okay,
of money. It
but
never was going to. Right,
then pick a different business over here that
right.
needs a sidewalk.
Now, and I mean this, and I love our small business. As I mentioned, I am a small business owner, and I think our small businesses are like the backbone of America. I mean, that's what's keeping
That was
everyone.
county money though, I think, wasn't it?
So
Yeah,
I
it was
think it was a
county money.
portion of both. I think it was
Well,
county and
I don't know 100%
yep.
for sure,
I'm
but
not
either
sure.
way,
and then the
either way.
North Arkansas Economic Development Council. There was a match there, so I think it came from two different
Okay,
funnels.
well, but anyway, you understand what I'm asking.
I do, and I do see the argument. I definitely do see the argument that's there, and I hear it. I know that there are a lot of folks that have that argument, but I'm a numbers guy, and when I look at when you take a look at like Nucor, what Nucor did for that community, and what could Aldi's do, and it's not just Aldi's. It's going to be okay. What business is next? I mean, honestly, when I was getting out of the Army, I had looked at a different company to come to Mountain Home and tried to talk with them. Their business model wasn't like that. But it would not surprise me if at some point one doesn't pop up in Mountain Home. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if it pops up in the exact spot that I gave them a pin to in Mountain Home where they should go. It won't surprise, and I'll let you know when they do. I'll say I gave them that idea. So
Before I forget, are you still flying for AirVac?
I'm not, no, sir. I had to leave Aerovac when I got into this seat. I wasn't able to do both because you're away from the cockpit for so long, out of
Oh, okay.
session. I was going to have to go fly in other places, and it wasn't going to work out.
Okay. Um, I have a suggestion or a request or a comment.
Yes, sir.
We're a lot of people are struggling, myself included, and probably everybody watching this with gas prices.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if there's anything you can do, but I bet you Sarah can do a tax vacation.
Other states are doing something, but I haven't reviewed how they're doing. I don't know if they're doing it in session or if they have an emergency means. I took a long trip over the weekend from Mountain Home all the way to Lake Village.
Okay.
And I tell you, some of that Central Arkansas gas, $3.99, $4.19 a gallon. I think the cheapest I saw it anywhere was about $3.65. That's a lot of money for these.
It is.
Particularly, it was the rural communities where it's going to hurt the
Yeah.
worst. That $4.19 a gallon was somewhere, probably in DeShaw County, I think.
Is there any conversation on a tax holiday, maybe, or
I have
is it
not.
something you
I've
can?
not heard about that, especially not on gas. Now, tax holidays usually start with school. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of times you'll get that tax holiday hinged with back to
Well, I'm
school.
advocating for one for fuel.
That would be a good one. I've never heard anybody talk about that, but man, I know that you would not be alone. Every Arkansan would probably say if we could get a few pennies, nickels, dimes away right there for taxes on the fuel, that would be
I
great.
think there's a there's national discussion regarding that.
How is this going to affect Arkansan farmers? Our diesel, our fuel, our nitrogen, the things they use to make crops grow. How is it going to affect our farmers?
Well, I mean, obviously, with all those costs, and it's not just the fuels, the fertilizers that you mentioned. We know that that is a huge burden on the farmers because their margins are already so low that, as we know, many of them are going out of business because it's so low that they're not making any money. It's not even profitable. And so then when you've got these other taxes on the fertilizers and then all the supplies, I mean, it is incredibly painful for them to the point where they're closing constantly. And that is a real issue that needs to be addressed. In this last in this fiscal session, there was a bill that came forward. It didn't make it through. Again, that threshold was something that was real hard for folks to get through. Folks were really focused on keeping this the legislative session, but I do expect that to come up in the next legislative session, and I'll definitely be supporting it because I had heard about it. I did know about it. We've got farmers right now that have to go, or they not that they have to, but they do go out of Arkansas, cross into Missouri, and buy different products because they're not taxed on those products, and then they bring them across Arkansas back into Arkansas. And so, to me, that's a no-brainer. Why are we taxing
Yeah.
when our neighboring state is not taxing on these items? And these farmers, if you think about it, we're not only losing that tax, we're losing the complete sale. That business, that Arkansas business that could have sold that product to that Arkansas farmer is not even getting a chance because we've taken their chance away from them. So I'm
It's a
definitely for. Go
perfect
ahead.
example of where uh, sometimes cutting taxes you increase revenue. I mean,
Yeah. Yep. That's
it's
exactly it. Yeah.
some people can't grasp that concept, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, I have a whole bunch more, but we've invited Chris to be interviewed as well. So I'm gonna cut you off here, sorta.
Okay.
Not, but I'm gonna invite you back. But I want you to tell everyone how we can get a hold of you and what we should be looking for down the road.
Definitely, definitely. So thanks so much, Joe, for mentioning that. Bring it up. The best way to get a hold of me, Stetson, and any other your reps, and as well as your senator, go on to the House website. So if you go ArcLeg website, Arkansas Legislators website, there's easy links on there. Find your legislator, and on there, I've got my personal cell phone. When you click on there, you're not going to talk to an answering service. You're not going to talk to somebody else. We don't have people that work for us. And I'm not afraid to put my cell phone. I said when I was out there initially campaigning, I am accessible. That's my personal cell phone. It sits in my pocket and it's on all the time.
I did
If I don't,
verify that today.
yep. If I don't
Verified
answer,
that
leave
today.
a message because I'm on the phone quite a bit. But leave a message and I will get back to you. And that goes for even if you've got something negative to say. It's not just to call and tell me that everything's great. It's the negative. I expect to hear the negative, and we do, and then we can talk about it. We're not going to be able to fix it if we don't know about it. But my phone number's on there, my email's on there. And then when you have an issue, if I can't personally fix it right then, which obviously a lot of times we can't, I've got folks that we can connect with over here and we'll get it fixed. And then if it's something that, hey, that's something that really needs to be addressed, and we can put together a bill for that next legislative session, and we can hope get that bill across and have it become a law. That's something that happens as well. And that's how we do, that's how we can affect positive change.
Awesome. And I think people should not, you probably get more negative calls than anything, but people should call and say thanks too sometimes. I mean, it's just a good way to do business, I feel. But
Sure.
anyway, thank you for joining us. I know you don't have an opponent for the general at this time, but hopefully you'll come back before the general, and we'll continue with this conversation.
We can tell us what happens with the special session.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we should be. Keep watching that too. And I should have mentioned that on that ArcLeg website. There's links where you can watch it for yourself. I try to post that a lot of times when I'm in the session, when we're in there in a meeting or anything, I'll post a link, but you can see those links. You can watch it live right then. And then even if you can't watch it live, if you're a working business family, like most of us are, and you can't watch it live, it's recorded. That same link will take you to the recording. So thank you, definitely. Thank you, Joe, and thank you for Chris. You guys, thanks for doing this, getting the word out, helping people stay connected. I really appreciate it.
We really
All right,
appreciate
thank
your
you.
time,
Yep.
and thanks again. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
thanks, guys.
See you.
All right, next portion of the podcast, we have Chris Chamberlain. He's a small business spotlight guest today, and Chris's business is Peak Solutions.
That's right. That's right.
So you can introduce us to you a little better than what I did, and we'll take it from there. Tell us what you do.
All right. Well, what we do is we help small businesses with their technology. So most small businesses don't have the capacity to hire full-time tech support staff. So we come in there and do that for them. So that'll be everything from your sort of help desk. Somebody that they can't print, or they need some software installed, all the way up to installing software packages for practice management, accounting software, those sorts of things.
What's a typical size of a small business that you would?
Generally somewhere between 10 and 50 employees, or 10 and 50 computers, because nowadays it's almost guaranteed to be 1-to-1.
Okay.
One computer for one employee.
Okay.
So, but at about 50, 60, 70 workstations, most businesses will go hire a full-time IT person at that point.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, well now I have a list of some things that you might want to discuss, and I don't understand what they are, and I'm into the computer world a little bit, nothing like what you are. So I'll just start at the beginning. Simple positioning. What does that mean?
I don't know. What does it mean? I see. All right. Well, I kind of went through that. What we are, we just help small businesses with the technology. So that's what we do.
Oh, okay. Well, I got it. Anything else we need to be specific? I read through this and I just was scratching my head.
All right. Well, let me see. Here's some things we do. Here's some buzzwords. Here's some things in my industry now. AI is a big thing.
Yes.
All right. So a lot of people are talking about agentic AI. You ever heard of agentic AI?
I have not.
Okay. Well, you know what AI is.
I do know
All
what
right.
AI
So
is.
if anybody ever played with ChatGPT or Grok or Claude, but it can build you an agent. So it basically, think of it like this. It builds you a piece of software that can do something for you so you don't have to. So for example, you can have an agent that answers your phone. And it's smart enough when someone says what they need, they can either answer the question or they can get it to the person who does.
So you would help your clients, your customers set something up.
That's right. There's, for most of my small businesses, it hasn't really, like any new technology, it starts at the top, but it's coming down. So, software packages like QuickBooks and Sage 50, they're beginning to introduce AI, largely for customer service and, quite frankly, to replace some lower level positions. So it can do simple tasks, and sometimes very complicated tasks. But it's things like if you're a customer service rep and you've got somebody on the phone, this is a case study I read about recently for an electric co-op or electric company. If someone calls in and says, "Hey, I can't pay my bill," the AI is listening, and it will pull up for the agent a link to relief. So instead of the agent having to know everything, the human agent having to know everything, the AI agent is sitting there prompting them with what they can do next.
So a company like that would be able to cut back on their human resources.
That's correct.
But now some people don't like that idea.
Well, it doesn't always work properly. There was a case a few days ago where, I forget the name of the company, AI deleted the database and all the backups in 9 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there are good reasons to wait, but it is being implemented. And people are doing it for all kinds of things. You can take a PDF that you can't need to edit, throw it in AI. It can have it imported into a database for you. It can take that step that used to take your time to do. It can do all that kind of stuff.
Well, I hear a lot of negative rebuttal on AI coming and replacing humans, but I mean, there was that same sort of thing going on when the automobile came to be. The buggy whip manufacturers were not very happy.
They were not. So yeah, certainly there are going to be some positions which are eliminated.
But there's another side to that story. There are going to be some created probably.
Oh, absolutely. So, there will be fewer created than disappear. Programming is a good one, right? So I did programming years ago, back in the early 2000s, and it's sitting there with the code, and you're trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. You can go to Claude, and you can say, "Write me a program that does blah, 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 blah," and it'll just do it. It'll just write it for you. Now, if somebody who has written structured code looks at that code that Claude has written, a lot of times like, "I don't understand this. What is this spaghetti mess? It doesn't make any sense," but it works. One of the reasons that Windows 11 has so many problems is that a lot of it's been written by AI. And so the engineers don't actually know what it does anymore.
What sort of problems are you seeing with Windows 11?
You've got problems with driver updates, updates that do something that breaks something that was working. Right. Drivers. You've got software that just doesn't. It will stop working.
I haven't encountered that, but
we've encountered it a time or two. But I did read an article about how much of Windows 11 code is just been flat out written by AI.
Really.
And they don't know what it means.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that deep like you are. But I haven't really encountered too many problems with Windows 11. But you're doing I'm doing residential.
That's right.
And you're probably getting a little deeper.
But I think that everybody should be playing around with AI. Just Chat GPT, Claude, or Grok, just to ask it questions, if nothing else. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be about your job. You can ask it theological questions. You can say compare and contrast this philosophy versus this philosophy, and it's going to give you a detailed answer.
Well, I asked. I don't remember which one it was, Copilot or something. I asked it to compare two round batteries that looked similar, but they had different numbers, and it gave me what the difference was. I mean, it's very basic, but you might as well get on board with it.
Well, you may as well. It ain't going anywhere.
It's here and it's staying.
That's exactly right. So that's a big thing coming down the pike. I think it is going to be very disruptive at certain levels. There are just certain things. You need a contract. I have ChatGPT write you a contract. You can do all kinds of things with it.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I don't know that there's a real downside. I mean, yeah, some human resources will get replaced, but there will be others.
That's exactly right. Well, yeah. So now, one of the emerging professions is a prompt engineer. You've got to be able to tell AI what to do. It's actually not very smart. Is the thing really about it? I said, look, I had a project that was perfect for AI. I gave it 2 bank statements. I said, build me a budget. Look at all my expenses and build me a budget. And I never could make it build me a budget. It lumped everything into miscellaneous expenses.
Well.
Right, so I couldn't make it build me a budget. So so there are people out there who are going to make a lot of money being engineers, teaching and telling AI what to do.
Yeah, well, is AI? Is it a situation where AI is constantly learning?
It is constantly learning.
how to handle these
It is.
matters.
Yeah. Yes. So it's based on what's called a large language model, right? Which means all that means is they feed it a bunch of information. They feed it a lot of information, and you can build your own. If you wanted to have an AI dedicated to one field or another, you can just feed it information and let it learn. But again, it's not so smart. There's certain tasks it's really not very good at.
So you don't think it's going to take over the world?
I don't think it's gonna take over the world yet. We'll see.
That's good.
Maybe-
I think that's reassuring.
Maybe the rise of the machines in the next 5 years, but for right now, we're all right.
Okay.
Enjoy it. Enjoy the decline.
I feel better now. Okay, well, I really don't know what to ask you on this.
All right. Well, I'll
Peak
tell you. I'll tell you
solutions.
about the next topic then that I get a lot of questions about, and really this is a pretty big one. The broad buzzword that in our industry is cybersecurity.
Okay.
Okay. And all that means is how do you keep your data, your customers, your private protected information safe from Indian hackers or Russian hackers? How do you keep your data safe, right? We've all heard that. I bet you've had it even in your business where somebody gets a crypto locker virus. All right. So for those that don't know, haven't experienced it, crypto locker is when you go turn on your computer and there's a big thing that says, hey, all your files are locked, and if you want to get them back, you got to give us 0.75 of a Bitcoin or something ridiculous. Right. Okay. That's bad when it happens to your local computer. It's devastating when it happens to your business, right? Because then you're out of business.
Right.
Right. So you either have to rely on, a good, hope you have good backups, or you have to just pay the ransom, which there's no guarantee that you'll get your data. But that's just one aspect of cybersecurity. That's probably the most devastating. The other is reputation loss. If you're, most people nowadays are using Microsoft 365 email because Microsoft put everything in the cloud when it comes to email. It's even hard to have an Exchange server in your office anymore. They just made it very difficult. But what can happen is, if you got a 365 account, because it's all on the internet, if someone gets your username and password, they can log in from Singapore or Kazakhstan, and they can send out spam from your email address. Right. So now you've got an attorney or a CPA or a doctor, and their email address is sending spam, all over the country. Or over the world. So that's a big problem. That's a loss of reputation.
Yeah.
And where in some cases, data can be costly for a business. If you have a database of Social Security numbers and that gets stolen, you've got to provide credit monitoring for those people for I think 6-7 years. And there's lawsuits.
That's right.
And fines. So.
Well, is it even really? I don't think it's 100% possible to be secure, is it?
There is no 100%.
Yeah.
No 100%.
The criminals are always a step ahead of the.
That's
good
right.
guys.
So we like to say it's not a matter. It's not if you're going to get compromised. It's a matter of when.
But you don't want to make it easy.
We don't want to make it easy, and our philosophy is, of course, you have lots of backups.
That's right.
We always like to say if it's not backed up in 3 places, it's not backed up.
That's right.
Right. And there are certain ways you can make backups that can't be overwritten by these crypto locker type programs. So there are ways you can all you're really doing is you're going to mitigate the risk, right? If you're a business and you have any kind of protected information, credit card numbers, social security numbers, driver's licenses, health records, whatever it may be, you've got to do all that you can to protect that data. But last year I think it was the University Medical Center in Little Rock was hacked. They were out of business for a few days.
Yeah.
I think they ended up having to pay the ransom to get their data back.
Oh my gosh.
Right, but I'm sure you've probably received letters from companies that say, hey, we had a data breach.
I have, and I've
Right.
also had customers that have had the ransom situation. They paid it, and they didn't get their data
They didn't
back.
get nothing.
They lost their money. It
That's
turned into a big fiasco.
Exactly.
So, I mean, my situation isn't like yours. I'm dealing with people's photos and.
Yeah. Well, that can be
personal documents.
devastating.
It is. I mean, I've seen people in tears because they lost their photos of their special people.
Yeah.
And,
I almost hate to recommend this, but for most people, having a service like Google Photos or OneDrive to have that stuff backed up into the cloud. And it's not foolproof. They can get there too. I've had that happen where they get the computer and the OneDrive, but at least you have a backup.
Yeah, I just always advocate for a backup, and I like to have a physical backup to hand to them.
That's absolutely. So we do that.
So if we have the problem, we can remedy it within a day.
Exactly.
Or thereabouts.
So, I mean, look, thumb drives are cheap. Hard drives,
Yeah.
portable hard drives are cheap for backing up important data.
In my situation, anyway, I'm not backing up huge files.
That's right.
So, what else?
I don't know. I'll look at my list and see what else on here.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, how about this one? So one of the things I think that, so you're a break fix pretty much, right? Someone says, hey, my something's broken, and you go fix it.
That's right.
Okay, so while we do that, what we really focus in on is preventative maintenance. I really don't want people to call me. I want to do such a great job on the back end that they never have problems.
Yeah.
Now, that's not always possible because you do have threat actors, you do have hard drives just give up the ghost. I mean, it does happen. But the idea is that we make sure that everything gets updated on a schedule. We make sure that you've got not just antivirus protection, but advanced threat protection, right? So we're not only we're looking at the traffic that's coming in and out of your network. We want to look for some suspicious network traffic. So we just monitor that. We always put in, firewalls to block traffic. So most of my clients, we have a firewall that we say, look, if you're not in the United States, you don't get to come through our firewall.
There you go.
Right? You just don't get to do it. You've got to be in the United States, unless I've got a client that specifically does business with some other country. We just lock that down.
Some of these bad guys are pretty tricky about.
They're pretty tricky. I mean, they know how to use VPNs, but and a firewall that doesn't have that capability, we still get attacks all day long from Russia, from Pakistan, from China, Iran. I mean, it comes from everybody you imagine it would be, and some you wouldn't, right? A lot from South Africa for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why South Africa is big. So.
All right, Chris. Well, why don't you tell everybody how to find you?
All right. Well, you can find me at www.solutionsbypeak.com. That is www.solutionsbypeak. And you can reach us at 855-983-7325.
Okay, that's Peak Solutions. And what's that number one more time?
855-983-7325.
All right. If you have nothing more to add at this time,
I have nothing to add.
We'll wrap this up.
I'm done.
I've got a couple announcements. Quorum Court happens at first Tuesday each month at 5:30 p.m. at the Baxter County Courthouse. City Council first and third Thursday at 5 p.m. City Hall. Men's Club, Republican Men's Club, first Thursday 11:30 a.m. at the Elks. And I believe they do lunch.